Today we're going to be moving a few of the deck items. We're looking at the coaming here. My idea is that there will be some kind of canvas system which will hang from the top of the Dodger and will fix somewhere along the coaming here, which is all very well. There's just one problem. We have three fittings on each side, or three fittings on this side at least, which are a little bit too high up. You can see if we were to run a track for the canvas work along here, we don't really have much clearance. So we're going to have to move this down. That's probably the most involved because there's quite a big hole there which will probably fill and then re-drill a little bit further down here. The other two fittings are the cleats. I've just removed this one and you can see we have another one here again with very little clearance there. So we're going to drop them down, and I think I can get away with using the bottom holes as the new top holes. So the idea is that this cleat will just move down by about this much. As you can see, this gives us lots of clearance then, and also the cleat is still high enough that we can run the rope around it without any issue. Of course, as is the case on a boat, these jobs look easy and become a little bit more complicated because we have to get access to them from the inside. This one isn't so bad. The power cable here isn't so bad. This one is a real bastard. Always countersink your holes here, so we're going to countersink that. The reason for that is that if whatever filler that you use to seal that gap, countersinking around the edge just provides a little sort of gasket. And we're going to be using butyl tape. If you watched our refit videos, you know that almost every single deck fitting we use butyl tape. And I have to say, after 4 years, we have not had one single leak from any of our deck fittings. So I really recommend butyl tape over any of those adhesive pastes and glues that you can get. Just thought I'd quickly grab a shot of the guys doing the filling. So this is the paint team just going around. They came around once just after lunch, done their first layer of filling, and then they're just going around again just to make sure that the filler is standing proud of each hole. At the front here we have that big horrible gap which we were left with when we replaced our windlass last year. An obvious but useful tip is to make sure you keep your chuck key attached to your drill. I didn't, and I've now misplaced it and I've no idea where it is. So I'm now going to spend the next 20 minutes looking for the key in order to put my countersinker on my drill. Very annoying. Little taste of what our rain catcher is going to look like. You can see Ton has put in place these teak lips, and here we have this beautifully created curve. Now if I can get in close enough, I don't know if you can see this, but you can probably just make out that's made of 3 strips of teak, which is cut lengthways and stuck together in order to curve it. Actually looks really nice just as teak, doesn't it? But we will be painting it. That's looking good. By the way, I can't remember if I mentioned, we decided not to route down either side of the bottom of the teak. It just made more sense just to create the channel in the top of the Dodger and just drop the teak into it by about 5mm. So here we have Ton working on one of the teak corners, and this is all about timing. He's put the teak strips together to make that corner with epoxy, and he's allowed it to cure a little, so he's still got a little bit of flexibility in the epoxy at the moment. If he left it overnight, tomorrow it would have completely fixed and he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. So whilst there's a little bit of play in the epoxy, he's offering it up and clamping it in place so that it eventually dries in the correct curvature of that corner. So I just had to race down to Ricardo's to get another clamp, a nice big clamp, and that one holds the front edge in place. And we've actually tied a thread, you can't see it I don't think, a thread up to there just to hold it forward so that it's got that front corner as straight as possible.
In a recent episode we talked about two extremes of boat. A 6-metre beautiful wooden boat that's sitting here on the hard that needs a huge amount of work, and the Philip Stark designed Yacht A super yacht, which is out of this world and very strange. Now right behind me we've got something that sits somewhat in the middle. She's a typical example of the kind of boats that we have seen in the 12 years that we've been sailing. Every marina has one, or sometimes two or even more, and these are boats that are sort of semi-abandoned by people who did live the dream for a while of sailing around the world and now perhaps for one reason or another no longer able to. So the boat sits in the boatyard, and this is one of them. She's 47 foot, she's a steel ketch, and she's on at £30,000 at the moment.
Okay, just some initial impressions when we first climb on board, just looking around the deck. As we said, she's a ketch, but I'm not too sure about the rigging. I would suspect a rigger would come along and say this definitely needs a re-rig. You might have to replace the sails as well. She's a steel boat, so the decks at the moment look beautiful. They are nicely painted, but of course the problem with steel is you don't actually know what's going on underneath unless you take the insides out, of course haul out as well. So you'd have to haul out just to give it a quick once over.
So as you can see, she's very spacious. It's a 4.2 beam, 47 feet length, and also she's tall inside. So if I stand up, I've got quite a lot of headroom here. Very light, windows all the way round. She's actually got a really nice feel inside, and if we weren't doing what we were doing, I might start nagging Jamie about getting this and doing a total refit, because it would have to be totally refitted. But she's at Krabi Marina. She's in the best place probably in the world, or one of the best places in the world, to do work like this. So I think if you're looking for a project, we would have no hesitation in saying, have a look at this, it's great. So the galley is a typical ship's galley running along the side here, and there's a massive amount of space. Look at all this worktop, this huge countertop here. There's what looks like a lovely gimbaled stove over there, and here, big fridge area, lots of places to store on this side and in the middle all the way down here. There's a loo heads in here, and then going forward, double bunks on the port side, quite big, quite spacious, little place to sit. This whole utility area here, as I say, more storage. Twin tub washing machine, something we would like, but we haven't got any space for. And masses of storage up here, the chains in here at the moment, and some sails. Classic forward facing chart table here, all the usual bits and bobs. I would say this is probably quite old now, this equipment, so it might be that you would need to be looking at installing all new electronics. I know we would. So the walkway through here to get to the rear cabin has lots of spaces all the way down here, lots of spots where Millie could make a little home. The bed actually goes this way, which is a little bit more unusual. They normally go this way. But to be honest, if you're rocking, this is quite a good position to be in.
Here we are in the rather large engine room, almost big enough to stand up in. This is a Ford, 118 horsepower, built in 2002, so it's not that old, and it does look as if there's a generator over there as well.
So Sequest is described as a motor sailor by BOATSHED, 47 foot as we've said. Needs cosmetic work. I think Jamie and I will both say we'd go further than that. It needs more than cosmetic work. You definitely have to change the rigging. You would definitely have to get it out of the water and give a thorough hull inspection because she's steel and any little corrosion needs to be looked at immediately. Inside, we love the layout. It would be an extremely comfortable boat to live in. I think it would be a brilliant boat to live in, lots of space. Might need a little remodelling. I think she would sail really well. She'd be good for big ocean passages as you feel really contained in that cockpit, nice and safe. And she's a ketch, and we like ketches.
If you remember, we had that track which was screwed down about 15 places either side of the cockpit coaming, and again they've filled in all those holes. And just now Ton and myself relocated those cleats, or rather we tightened them up so they're just a little bit lower down by maybe sort of 15 to 20 mil, I suppose, a bit more perhaps, and we've just tightened them up. So we had Ton up here holding the screwdriver in place whilst I was underneath tightening them up. It's the day of reckoning. Ton has now finished the teak rain catcher rim. He's put a layer of epoxy resin on here. You can see it's not particularly neat, so I've got Pawn down, who's the painter, just to check to see if it's okay. And I think actually what we're going to do, and I'm glad we're going to do this, is put micro balloon filler all the way around, which is great because that's going to give it some extra strength. So we're now at the stage where we epoxy these strips into place.
So the work, I think, is coming along pretty well at the moment. I think we're quite happy with the pace, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah. It's nice to see that teak rain catcher actually installed, and hopefully next time you're going to see it painted and maybe even filled, not sure. But yeah, we're so close, almost there, almost there. So regards the boat, we just thought it would be a nice idea to show you guys an affordable boat to kind of prove the point that living on a boat isn't beyond the reach of many people. Now, of course, not everyone can afford £30,000, although we would recommend that you put in an offer were you to buy that boat that we showed you. And yeah, it's, to be honest, it's actually ready to sail away, isn't it? You could maybe up and down the river and along the coast. I don't think I'd want to go too far with the rigging, or at least have an inspection. It's floating. Yeah, I mean, we were taking it to the extreme, really giving you an idea of the kind of things that we would do if we were to buy that boat. But you could, if you're happy with 1970s decor, you could quite happily go away, and as you say, I think provided you didn't sail it, because I would definitely check that rigging.
Yeah, definitely. Basically, it's a really nice layout. We were very pleased with that layout. We just thought that was excellent. It'd be a really good cruising boat, and someone, especially if you're a bit handy, you could do a lot of that work yourself, right here in the yard, couldn't you? Yeah,
look, come on, if you're used to DIY, then you could probably do about, I don't know, 70%
easily
of that boat.
Yeah.
And by the way, we should say we are not affiliated in any way to the broker. The reason why we found out about this boat was because we were talking to someone in the yard who's kind of overseeing the owner and their boat, and had mentioned that it was for sale. So we didn't even get permission to be on the boat from the broker, but we were given permission by this person who's overseeing it. So yeah, there we go. Right, is that it?
I think that's it. So I think I'll be off then.
Yeah, well, so will I.
No, I'm going.
Oh, yeah, we're finished, so we're both going.
No, I've had enough. I'm out of here.
Where are you going?
See ya. I'm going back to the UK because I'm fed up with the sun, I'm fed up with the work, and I'm fed up with the dust and the noise, so I'm out.
But who's going to do all the editing?
You are. What's new there?
And the filming?
All of it. You're going to have to do it all. I am taking a camera with me, so maybe if I get any interesting footage I might just send it to you. But no, I'm out of here. So you've got Jamie for the next few weeks.
Sorry about that. Well, you'll still see Liz in the videos, but you won't get Liz's beautiful smiley face at the end. So sorry about that. You're stuck with me.
Yeah, I have to go home because my 91-year-old dad is pretty frail. He's in hospital, so I'm going home to see him and my family just for 3 weeks. I'll be back soon.
So in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and
Peace and fair winds.
guess who's forgotten her rucksack?
Oh, I feel such a fool. Left my rucksack. And guess what the tag says? The lost girl.
Twat.
Nitwit. No, I'll take it inside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bye bye again.
Bye. Bye.